Economic instability, social unrest, and political uncertainty. That's been the reality in Egypt for more than a year since former President Hosni Mubarak was pushed out of office in last year's uprisings. We're following life after the Arab Spring in our Arabia 2.0 segment, which is 1 month away from a big step forward for Egypt, a presidential election. 13 candidates have just been announced. Here are 3 of the prominent players. Amr Moussa, of course, a former foreign minister and former head of the Arab League. Mohamad Mursi, the Muslim Brotherhood's current choice. Ahmed Shafiq, Mubarak's former prime minister. He was just reinstated after being excluded under a law that stripped political rights from the top Mubarak-era officials. And there were a number of high-profile candidates disqualified, including Omar Suleiman, Mubarak's former spy chief, Karat El-Shater, a top player within the Muslim Brotherhood, and Hassam Salah Abu Ishmael. He's an ultra-conservative Salafi preacher. Will this election help mark a turnaround for the nation and its economy? It's a lot that people have been talking about lately. Joining me with his perspective from Cairo is Mohamad Al-Ississ. He's an assistant professor of economics at the American University School of Business and a regular contributor here on the Global Exchange. First and foremost, Mohamad, I wanted to ask you, in fact, this reversal by the Electoral Commission deciding to let the former prime minister come back into the docket. If I can be perfectly blunt, it looks a little bit suspicious. Is that the way it's seen on the ground in Cairo as well?
Well, these past months, Egypt has not ceased to throw curveballs at us, John. It is certainly going to be seen like that by many. We've heard some parliamentarians basically making that exact point. On the other hand, in the way it played, many people are fearing that the military leadership, the SCAF, would be the ones that will be actually refusing to sign this law. But they actually did indeed sign this law. And it was this judicial tribunal of the presidential elections that reinstated him. If the merits of reinstating actually stand from a legal standpoint, then if anything, that actually reassures people of the judicial system trying to take an impartial stand. After all, they did a couple of weeks ago rule that Omar Suleiman, the strongman of Egypt under Mubarak, would not be able to run for these elections. So reinstating Shafi, the ramifications of that remain to be seen. It certainly will create a heated debate here in Cairo.
Mohamad, in fact, I would like to look at the stock market performance since the start of the year. If we take a closer look at it here, it shows that when, in fact, Omar Suleiman announced that he was going to come back into the running, we had a drop of about 8%. And then when he was bumped out and Al-Shater was bumped out of the race, it took out some of that political tension and the market recovered again. So the Egyptian stock market, as we look at, these are the Middle East markets right now, but I'd like to look at the Egyptian index, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. It's still up nearly 40% in 2012, but it's very linked to the political uncertainty right now. A lot of uncertainty with financial investors as we take a look at it. Why is it so closely linked? Is there that much uncertainty in the market right now?
It's the barometer of the uncertainty in the system. The economic situation in Egypt is directly linked to the political uncertainty. The problem here in Egypt is the uncertainty, it's not the risk. It's that anything could happen in the near future. So you'll notice that the stock market started rebounding after the successful parliamentary elections concluded. And that sort of sent a very strong signals to the market that Egypt is serious about taking concrete steps towards reinstating a new system. When Omar Suleiman declared that he's going to run, there was that fear. Will the revolution sort of continue to out the remnants of the regime? So removing that uncertainty took care of that. Here is the challenge. Should Ahmed Shafi actually do well in the next presidential elections, then people will be back on the streets. And with them going back on the streets, this cycle of uncertainty, this cycle of not knowing where Egypt is headed will continue. So I think people are looking at the political arena to get reassurances that this country is headed in the right direction of reinstating its control over the country institution-wise, and hopefully in the right democratic arena. And I think that's what not only the stock market is reacting to, but also the stock of foreign reserves that Egypt has. I was looking at the graph of that before coming here, and you notice that the bleeding of foreign reserves actually slowed down, right, also after the parliamentary elections. And the numbers for April are due to come out soon, and we'll be able to have a better informed judgment on how investors are seeing the uncertainty and stability in Egypt.
Yeah. Mohammed, very quickly here, and we only have about 20 seconds left. The parliament threw a real curveball here at you again by rejecting the budget, which puts that $3.2 billion loan from the IMF in jeopardy. This is the new reality between the parliament and whoever takes over as president.
Right. Right, absolutely. And the main remaining uncertainty is what is the relationship between the parliament, the government, and the president. That is to be continued. Should the president that will be elected is not among the Islamists, should it be Amr Musa or Ahmed Shafi, what kind of relationship will govern these two? Then there's the whole issue of the constitutional committee that's drafting the constitution. So I think you have your hands spot on. The IMF wants assurances that the next government will continue abiding by the agreement. They will hold on their loan till they have these reassurances.
Okay. Mohammed, nice to see you again. Mohamad Al-Ississ is a professor at the American University of Cairo. He joins, as you can see there, right over the Nile River in downtown Cairo. Well, now to developments on a story we've been watching closely here, of course, on the global exchange, the escalating dispute between Iran and the United Arab Emirates over islands in the Gulf. The issue is high on the agenda at an Arab League meeting in Cairo today, where we just saw Mohammed. Our Fred Plykin has been following the story here from Abu Dhabi, where there's a lot of